Hello and welcome to part 2 of the chapter Contour Integration. In part 1, we have evaluated a real integral by using circular contour. In this part, we shall consider this real integral sin ax by x, where a is a real number, and for simplicity we assume that a is greater than 0. If a is less than 0, then we can take minus 1 common from sin of ax to make it positive. So we can assume that a is greater than 0. We shall evaluate this integral by using contour integration. For that reason, we have to convert this integral to a complex one. So let us start the solution. The integrand we shall use is e to the power iaz by z. Actually, we should have written sin of az by z, but we know that the exponential function is easier to use than the trigonometric function. So we shall use this integrand. Next, we find the singularities. We find that the function fz has only one singularity, that is at z equal to 0, which is a simple pole. So this is the only one singularity of the function. Next, we have to select the suitable contour. As I have said in part 1 that there is no specific method to select the contour, but there will be some clue in the question from where we can select the suitable contour. Here we find that the limits of the real integration are minus infinity and plus infinity. That means the real axis of the complex plane can be a part of the contour. Next, we select the contour. Roughly, this is our contour. We have selected the contour in such a manner that the real axis is a part of the contour. Now the singularity z equal to 0 lies in the real axis, so we have to exclude the singularity. Here we have excluded the singularity z equal to 0 by this semicircular arc. Now the contour C has 4 parts. First one is from minus capital R to minus small r along the real axis. The second part is this semicircular arc from minus r to plus r. The third part is the straight line from small r to capital R along the real axis, and then the final part of a semicircular arc of radius capital R. Now remember that capital R is a large positive quantity and small r is a small positive quantity. As capital R tends to infinity, the contour covers total real axis. Now we find that the function fz is analytic within and on this contour C, because the only singularity z equal to 0 lies outside the contour. So by Cauchy's fundamental theorem, we can state that the value of this integral along the contour C is equal to 0. Now we can break the integral into 4 parts along these 4 paths of the contour. Now breaking the integral into 4 parts, we find that the sum of these 4 integrals is equal to 0, where these 4 integrals are taken along these 4 paths. So we have to compute the values of each of these 4 integrals. Now if we look carefully, you shall find that for the first integral and the third integral, these two integrals are done along the real axis, from minus capital R to minus small r and from small r to capital R. So along this path we may replace z by x, because if z equal to x plus iy, and we know that the equation of the real axis is y equal to 0, for the first integral and this third integral we may replace z by x. So here it is, we have replaced z by x in these two integrals along the real axis. We call this equation as equation number 1. So we have to evaluate these two integrals along gamma 1 and gamma 2. Remember that gamma 1 is the inner semicircle of radius small r and gamma 2 is the outer semicircle of radius capital R. And also notice the orientation of gamma 1, that is clockwise, and the orientation of gamma 2 is anti-clockwise. So here it is, direction of gamma 1 is clockwise and orientation of gamma 2 is anti-clockwise. So we have to evaluate the integrals along gamma 1 and gamma 2. First we evaluate the integral along gamma 1, that means inner semicircle of radius small r. To evaluate this, we first expand the integrand. Now if we expand e to the power I a z, we find that this is the series of e to the power I a z. Now dividing it by z, we find that it is 1 by z plus this one, taking I a common. Now we can write it 1 by z plus, suppose we call this series phi z. We first break the integral into two parts. Now we first compute this integral. Now if we look carefully, we shall find that phi z contains only the positive powers of z. So phi z is analytic at z tends to 0. So if phi z is analytic at z tends to 0, then we shall find a neighborhood of 0 such that the function phi z is bounded within this neighborhood. So suppose this is the neighborhood we have found where the function phi z is bounded. Now small r is arbitrary, so we can select small r so small such that this inner semicircle lies entirely within this neighborhood. So for some small value of r, this inner semicircle lies entirely within this neighborhood where the function phi z is bounded. Now since this inner semicircle lies within this neighborhood, so we can conclude that the function phi z, this is bounded, so let's equal to suppose capital M on gamma 1. So the function phi z is bounded on gamma 1. Now we have this well-known inequality, modulus of this integral is less equal to integration of the modulus of the integrand, which can be written as modulus of phi z into dz. Now on gamma 1, phi z is bounded and modulus of phi z is less equal to m, so we can write it less equal to m. Now m is independent of z, so we can take this m outside the integral. So here it is, modulus of dz. Now this is nothing but the line integral. So this denotes the length of the curve gamma 1. Now here we find that gamma 1 is this semicircle from minus r to r. So this is half of the circumference. So the length of this gamma 1 is pi r. So here we write m into pi into r. So here it is, modulus of this integral is less equal to m into pi into r. Now which tends to 0 as r tends to 0, because r is small. So if we take r tends to 0, then modulus of this integral tends to 0. From here we find that modulus of this integral is less equal to this quantity which tends to 0, but modulus can't be negative. So the only possibility is this integral tends to 0 as r tends to 0. Next we evaluate this integral. To evaluate this integral, we first replace the equation of the inner semicircle, that is z equal to r e to the power I theta, where theta varies from pi to 0. Since the semicircle was taken along the clockwise direction, so theta varies from pi to 0. This is the equation of the inner semicircle. So if we replace dz, that is I r e to the power I theta d theta, which is I z d theta. So if we replace these values in the main integral, we find that it is dz is I z d theta by z. Now limit of theta varies from pi to 0, so pi to 0. Now cancelling this, it is I into integration pi to 0 d theta, which is nothing but minus pi I. So the value of this integral is minus pi I, and this integral tends to 0 as small r tends to 0. Next to evaluate this integral along the outer semicircle and along the anti-clockwise direction, that is positive direction. So to evaluate this integral, we first replace the equation of the semicircle, and which is z equal to capital R e to the power I theta, where theta varies from 0 to pi. This is the equation of the outer semicircle. So dz equal to I r e to the power I theta d theta. that is I z d theta. Replacing this in the main integral, we find that it is e to the power I a and z is r into e to the power I theta. This is the value of dz divided by z. Now cancelling z and taking I common, we find this I 0 to pi e to the power I a r. Now e to the power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta d theta, which can be written as I into 0 to pi e to the power, this is I a r cos theta into e to the power, now I square is minus 1, so minus a r sin theta d theta. We know this inequality, modulus of this integral is less equal to integral of the modulus integrand, and here modulus of I equal to 1. Now a r cos theta is a real number, so e to the power I into real number, that means cosine of this plus I sin of this, whose modulus is 1, so this is nothing but 1. D theta is always positive, so we can ignore the modulus. Similarly, e to the power minus real number is always positive, so we can ignore this modulus also. So this can be written as 0 to pi e to the power minus a r sin theta d theta. Now to evaluate this integral, we have to use one inequality, that is called the Jordan inequality. This is called Jordan's inequality. So if theta lies between 0 and pi by 2, then sin theta lies between 2 theta by pi to theta. Now if we want to apply this Jordan inequality in this integral, then we have to convert the limits of this integral from 0 to pi by 2. For that reason, if we take f theta equal to e to the power minus a r sin theta, then we find that f of pi minus theta is also f theta, because sin pi minus theta equal to sin theta, so f of pi minus theta equal to f theta. Hence, by a well-known property of definite integral, we can write it 2 times 0 to pi by 2 e to the power minus a r sin theta d theta. Now we can apply the Jordan inequality. Now we have sin theta greater equal to 2 theta by pi, multiplying this by minus a r. So minus a r sin theta less equal to this. Now exponential function is increasing function, so exponential of minus a r sin theta less equal to exponential of minus 2 a r theta by pi. So if we apply this inequality in this integral, we shall find that this is less equal to 2 times 0 to pi by 2 e to the power minus 2 a r theta by pi d theta, which can be integrated easily. So after the integration, we find that this is 2 into 1 by minus 2 a r by pi e to the power minus 2 a r theta by pi from 0 to pi by 2. Applying the limits, we find that this is nothing but pi by a r into 1 minus e to the power minus a r. Now as capital R tends to infinity, we find that this value tends to 0. Actually, modulus of this integral is less equal to this one, which tends to 0 as r tends to infinity. So we can conclude that this integral tends to 0 as capital R tends to infinity. Now we consider the equation number 1. Here it is. Now taking capital R tends to infinity when small r tends to 0, then the limits of these two integrals reduces to this minus infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity. Now this one, the value of this integral, we have already obtained it. The integral along gamma 1 is equal to minus pi I as small r tends to 0, and finally we have obtained the value of this integral along gamma 2 as capital R tends to infinity is tends to 0. So replacing all the values, we find this result. Now combining these two, we can write it minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power I a x by x dx equal to, taking this one on the right hand side, pi I. Now we can expand it, e to the power I a x is cos of ax plus I sin of ax So here it is, e to the power ix equal to cosine of ax plus I sine of ax. Now we can compare the real and the imaginary parts from the both sides. Now comparing the real and the imaginary parts, we have found that integration of cosine ax by x dx equal to 0 and integration of sine ax by x is equal to pi. Now this is our required integral. Moreover, we find that sine ax by x is an even function. So the limits can be replaced by 2 times 0 to infinity. So if we take this 2 in the right hand side, so this is the value of this integral 0 to infinity sine x by x dx equal to pi by 2. So this is the required result we have obtained. That completes the solution. See you in the next part. Thanks for watching.